I am an absolute sucker for detective shows. So as soon as I saw a new detective show was released on Netflix, I knew I had to watch it. And of course, that quickly turned into more of a binge watch. I'm talking about the new Swedish Netflix show, The Åre Murders. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I'm gonna do the first part of the video spoiler-free, at least as much as I can, while still talking about the show. And I'll tell you when I switch to more spoiler talk and when I get into the actual story a bit more. So at work, whenever I open a new tab in my browser, I get this super trashy MSN news website. Yes, I've tried to get rid of it multiple times. It just keeps on coming back, so I'm not sure if I can actually get rid of it. But the last week, I kept getting articles about this show, and they were very high praise of the show. So it was like, everyone is loving this new show, and then a picture of the show of The Åre Murders, and new show rising the charts, a must watch, you know, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So I was really expecting something big. I was expecting something to completely wow me, but did it do that? So first, let me tell you what the show is about. Let me give you a quick summary. So in The Åre Murders, we follow a detective called Hanna Alander. She got suspended from her work back in Stockholm at the police department, and she goes to a small town called Åre, where her sister has a cabin. She goes there to relax, to take a break, while she's being suspended from work. But very quickly after she arrives, a young girl goes missing at a party, and as I think I can safely say, without giving spoilers, given the title, she gets found murdered, which obviously launches a big murder investigation. So Hanna is not gonna sit around, shocking, and she is gonna help the local police department with the investigation. Gonna be honest, I feel like that is such an unoriginal thing in detective shows. It is always like, oh, this retired detective goes somewhere and then suddenly someone gets murdered and they get into the investigation, or oh, let me call up this old buddy of mine, they might want to help out with this investigation. It's always something like that, you know. It's not too surprising. But the big question, and without having you sit through the entire video to figure out if I like the show, yes or no, was I shocked by the show? Did I think it was groundbreaking? No. It was a good detective show. It is a good detective show. It's a fine show. But I think my expectations were just too high because I saw all this, whoa, must watch, great show, blah, 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 blah. I think that said something in my head that I was like, oh, this show is gonna wow me. This is gonna be amazing. I can't wait. And it just didn't do that. Did I enjoy it? Yes, I definitely did. The show has 5 episodes, not very long. I'm not sure if they're gonna do a season 2. I would assume so, but yeah, you get through it very quickly, so it's definitely worth a watch. I'm not saying don't watch it because it didn't wow me as much as I hoped it would. Definitely if you like detective shows or if you're just looking for something easy to watch, just put it on. It's fun. I mean, as fun as a murder investigation can be. So I definitely did like the actors in this show. So obviously the main character, Hanna Alander, is a wonderful actress. I really enjoyed her performance. And I think her, like the main co-actor, I don't know what the word is for that, at least not in English, also does a wonderful job, and I think they both really added to the show. However, one thing that I was really missing, without going into spoilers, is that you don't get a lot besides the murders. So you have the murder investigations, and that's basically it. Every now and then they swoop off to a little bit of something besides the investigation, but don't expect a deep dive into the characters. Don't expect to get to know them much more, get to know their background, get to know their history. No, you ain't getting that, unfortunately. And besides that, I was just really confused with the show at one point. So like I said, there's 5 episodes, but after episode 3, there is basically a full stop and you just switch to something completely different. Yes, it's the same, like 2 main actors, but you jump into a new story. It was a very weird construction. So I kept waiting for the show to end to figure out what the connection would be between the 2 stories. And I think that kind of annoyed me because it again made my expectations higher, because I was like, well, something has to happen now for it to live up to that standard that this trashy MSN website put into my head, and it just didn't reach it. So I think that's as much as I can say without giving any spoilers, because I'm really trying to give my honest opinion here without telling you specific parts of the story. So now we're gonna cut through second half. I'm gonna talk spoilers now. So if you want to watch it still, this is where you jump off. Maybe save the video to watch it later after you've watched it yourself and see if you agree with me. I'm interested. So like I kind of said vaguely, like you don't jump into the character's background. You don't really get to know much about them. And what I mean with that is like, we know that Hannah is suspended in Stockholm. But for a very long time, we don't know why. They don't go into it at all. They just have this brief moment where they're like, whoa, why are you suspended? And they don't really go into it. Then finally, I don't remember in what episode it was, she says like one line about why she was suspended. This is when she is almost dead, basically. She gives you one line about why she's suspended, and that's it. That's all you gotta do with it. Same as with Daniel, who is like the co-actor, which you probably know if you watch it, but he also seems to have an interesting backstory. Do we get to know about it? No. All we get to see is his kid, because he's a new father and he has to take care of his kid. And then again, there's one line where he says that he doesn't want to be like his father after he had a falling out with his girlfriend. And that is it. We're not getting much. We're not getting anything more. Hello? What? I'm interested in these characters. I want to know more about them. Like the most interesting character thing in the show for me was like the gay affair or relationship, I should say. I mean, about to be relationship, the little fling, you know, that might turn into more, because that's when we actually look into a character. I mean, not even that much, like we don't see that much of the background or anything like that, but I feel like that's the most interesting thing that happens to the characters, and I think that's really sad because that's not even about the main characters. So I feel like you can tell that I'm a little bit frustrated by that, but not as frustrated as I was with the fact that episode 1 to 3 are about one story, and episode 4 and 5 are about a completely different story. Like, there was no link whatsoever. I just kept waiting. I was like, surely it's gonna be connected now. Surely we're gonna find a link between the murder of the first one, murder of the second one. It's gotta happen. There has to be something. No, it just seems like it's 2 seasons put into 1 season because they didn't have enough to make a full season out of it, which I think would have been so easily fixed if they just focused on the first story, but added way more character depth. Give me more about the characters. Give us some flashbacks to Hannah in her old PD. Give us like the story, how she got suspended. Give us like Daniel's youth. What happened? Why does he not want to be like his dad? Just add a bunch more into this. I feel like there's people who can appreciate that it's literally just about the investigation and not much around it, but for me, it didn't have enough. It didn't. So yes, good show. I enjoyed it. Absolutely. But it could have been so much more. Like, there were definitely twists and turns that surprised me, but it wasn't like, whoa, shocking, I have to let that sink in. No, it was just, we keep going. So yeah, basically, I'll give this show like a 7 out of 10 because I still enjoyed it. I like the actors very much. I feel like there is so much missed potential in this show, and I'm not like a professional show critic or anything. Like, I don't have any knowledge. I just like to watch Netflix shows, and I'm just a tad disappointed. But hey, that's a little silly little opinion from silly little old me. Let me know if you've watched this show and if you enjoyed it, or if you're still gonna watch. But yeah. Also, the fact that I finished this show yesterday and I'm already struggling to remember the murderers in this case is not a good thing. Especially for a show that is solely focused on the investigation. And I gotta admit, whenever I binge stuff, I just tend to forget quickly in general. But to forget, like, the main thing of the story, like who the murderer is. Oh, I just remembered for the second one. Yeah, I just remembered the final thing. Oh, and I just remembered for the first one as well. I just had to dig a little bit in there. But yeah, just wanted to talk about that real quick because I'm a little bit disappointed, but like, I'm not saying don't watch it because it's still pretty good. Just my little humble opinion. Okay, bye.